Most of our lives, I think we tend to look up to other people. We tend to look up to the rich and the powerful, and those we think are influential in life, and those we think we can make a difference. And if I'm honest, I think most of society is actually geared up that way, isn't it? If you look at the news, if you look at social media, if you look on the internet, those are the people that seem to get mentioned. And when something goes wrong in the world, it's the same people that we think should actually set things right, or make a difference, or change it, or solve our problems for us. Or put another way, ordinary people don't often get much of a look in, and if we feel ordinary, we don't think that we can make a difference. We don't think that our voice will really count for much. But what I like about the Bible, and what I like about this text in Exodus that we're looking at, is it shows you that actually the Bible includes ordinary people as well, and it tells you about the actions they do. And it also tells you about the situations that they find themselves in. And in the case of the midwives, they actually find themselves in a really difficult situation. They're told by the king of Egypt that they should literally go out and kill all the newborn baby boys to the Hebrew women. And I guess in that situation, they could have just turned around and said, well, that's it. We've been told to do it. We've been ordered to do it. The king has commanded it. Therefore, we've got to obey the law. But instead, they actually choose not to. But what's more interesting for me, I think, than just the choice not to do something is the reason they give for the choice. Because in verse 17 it says, the midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them to do. They let the boys live. Now in the Old Testament, when it talks about fearing God, it doesn't mean standing there trembling necessarily. What it means is to know who God is. To fear God is to know who God is. In fact, in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 28, it sort of amplifies this a bit. It says, to fear God is wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding. In other words, to fear God, to know who God is one thing. And then when you know who God is, you will move away from evil. You keep away from things that are sinful. And I think that's what the midwives are doing here, isn't it? They know who God is. They know what they've been called to do is fundamentally wrong. It's fundamentally evil. So they choose not to do it. And maybe that's, I suppose, the first point of reflection to us. Do we really know who God is? And do we know all of the things that would be classed as evil or sinful or wrong? And perhaps the second thing that comes out of the text for me is the fact that often, even if we consider ourselves insignificant, even if we think we've got very ordinary jobs, the world around us can come crashing in us. We can find ourselves in situations that we didn't plan for, that we didn't ask for, that ask us to do something wrong. And at times like that, maybe they're not as serious as the situation the midwives are in, but at times like that, there's a need for us to sort of take a step back and say, what's God's view of this? And how should I respond to it? Maybe the biggest challenge for me is I think when I look at that sort of in the abstract, I like to think that I would always do God's way. But it's often so much more of a challenge when it's the situation I'm actually going through.